Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of In My World podcast. In My World podcast is a father and son mental health podcast where we get interesting people all around Perth to come in and talk about 3 mental health discoveries that they've had in the last 12 months. And today we are very lucky to have Tania Douthwaite in, who's a freediving instructor, who actually taught me back in the day when I was a little bit younger around freediving. And yeah, I've just had such an incredible experience in learning how to dive up to 20 meters with you. You've been an inspiration to a lot of divers in the Perth community and you're very well respected. Tell us a little bit about how you got into freediving and why it means so much to you.
Thanks, Leighton. I got into freediving around about sort of 15 years ago, probably a little bit longer. I had a partner that was quite into freediving and spearfishing. Actually, that's an understatement. Very passionate freediver and spearfisher. And just got into it that way. He was encouraging without being pushy and gave a lot of space, but also was very inspiring in how he approached it. So he was, just his enthusiasm for it was really hard to contain.
So if the guests don't know already, both our dad and I are pretty avid spearfishermen. We started about probably 8 years ago now when our parents bought us some crappy spear guns for Christmas and we all started together. We've been on a bit of a big journey learning how to spearfish and it's essentially became a pillar of our lives. And my question to you is, have you ever been into spearfishing? And tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah,
That's just a bonus question for me.
Is this about me or you, Leighton? For sure. Yeah, that's sort of how I got into it. So it, in a way, actually it was more of a challenging story to tell. My partner that was into freediving and spearfishing actually died. He died suddenly while we were on holiday in a freediving accident.
Right.
So that sort of kicked off my deeper interest in freediving. What could have caused how he died? What is it about the sports that's just so enrapturing? And how to sort of heal from that journey.
Yeah, that's
how to come out of that. So.
That's hectic. Well, that's be really good to chat with you today.
Yeah, we're very honoured. So the next part of our podcast, we've got a mystery question. Stephen, do you want to introduce the mystery question to Tania?
Yeah, so our previous guest, Michael, he has got a little gift for you here. I don't know what's in it, but
I'm not sure if I'll be thanking Michael later.
You get the opportunity to pass the gift on to somebody else after. So if you open that and read it out and tell us what your gut instinct is.
What works best for you to help keeping a positive mindset? Good question. I would say off the top of my head, just staying open, being present and, practicing that regularly, every day, every moment. Yeah.
So to give the viewers context, Tania has an incredible presence. So she's like that kind of person when you walk into a room, they have that quiet confidence and they don't always need to say that much, but you can just sense this like
wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom or it's almost
the vibe.
This presence and you're really in the moment. So where does that come from and how do you feel? How do you stay so connected to yourself? Because you may not realize it, but everyone else does. So how does that come about?
I think if I look backwards on my life, I can understand where the differences come, especially hearing a lot of narratives from other people and really deeply listening. It came around thinking about suffering and understanding and realizing and accepting that not suffering isn't really equal, the suffering that we experience actually and how we experience it or perceive it, but actually the experiences we have in life. And I just had a lot of experiences, I guess, that were negative as well as positive. And, some of them are quite big. I suppose.
It's interesting, there's a lot of people I know who I really respect in my life. I'm nearly 50 now and the people I really respect, when you burrow down into their story, you realise that there's been some trauma or there's been something big that they've not been able to manage or, the big questions or mystery and that has shaped them in a way that oozes out of them. You know what I mean? Like what you're saying. I think that's
it gives
really
you confidence. It gives you strength to understand your journey, to accept it, and then to be at a point where you can share your story for the better of others, and you've done it for the better of yourself, and it's had a positive impact to do that. You've done the work, and you've seen that continuing to do the work is life.
Very good.
It's how you maintain mental health.
And so obviously you've gone through this quite traumatic event, losing your partner, involved with freediving, involved with spearfishing. You know, how did you, I guess, transform that moment into pursuing freediving as a career, as a way of life? What was that kind of transition like for you, and how did that influence your mental health?
I think it was, I guess, understanding my own mode of healing, which at the time was knowledge. Like, it was quite a personal journey. I didn't really reach out too much, especially at the beginning. So it was sort of like, I don't know, like being in a cocoon state and sort of trying to work it out. And seeking knowledge was always been my way. So reading, learning, just to better understand the past, to prevent things like that happening again, of course, to myself and to others. And that learning journey was really enlightening. It was unexpected that I would dive in, so to speak, and start to take the journey of going deeper. That was quite a surprise, especially considering, that it had such a negative impact.
Yeah.
But it was, while doing the thing, that I discovered lots of other things about it for wellbeing, for my own healing, and for the healing of other people. That,
That brings us on to the Tania's 3 nuggets that she's going to share with us today.
So you've got 3 different discoveries. The first one is defining well-being. The second one is burnout signals. And the third one is called healthy boundaries. To get started, do you want to tell us a little bit about your definition, or your first one, which is defining well-being?
Yeah, sure. I can't claim it for my own, but it's a quote that I love by a psychologist called Nagoski. She wrote a great book called Burnout. If anyone wants to follow up
I'm actually
with
reading
that.
it right now.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm halfway through it.
So she says that to be well or to live well isn't to be perpetually in a state of safety and calm. It's that ability to move fluidly in and out of safety and calm into a state of adversity, risk, excitement and adventure, back out to safety and calm again. Yeah.
Right. And obviously a person who picks up a book that's got burnout written on it may or may not, wink, wink, have experienced some burnout in the past. Tell us a little bit about how you picked up that book and why you picked up that book.
I can't quite remember, to be honest, where it came to me first. Might have been through a YouTube or something like that. But once I got reading her work, it was like, really insightful. It's just pragmatic. Gives you 7 things to do. You try them out, see which ones work for you, and then,
So to give the viewers context as well, Tania's always doing something, whether she's running a program down in the Coburn Sound or helping some freedivers. You know, how many different projects have you got going right now?
Probably a little less than normal, but there's usually a few on the side burner.
And could you agree that burnout has played a role in your life?
100%, yeah. I'm always giving 100%, and sometimes I'm not sure what that looks like or feels like. I think that is possibly an effect of trauma, is like you can disassociate and not be aware of how you're feeling, especially when you're giving so much else to others or the planet. Whatever your purpose or passion is attached to, it can really draw you in. So
because it's almost, a form of escape where you can just overwork and
oh my gosh,
distract yourself and start a new project, and you don't have to come back to that
you
moment.
can avoid the feelings.
But I find it also strange because you're also, in your work, you do a lot of breath work, you do a lot of yoga. There's also a lot of meditation in your freediving courses. You are often in moments of silence and in moments of reflection. Do you feel like in those moments you actually get to connect to your emotions in the way that you need to?
Yeah, not so much at work, but definitely in everyday life. I think that's one of the great learnings I've had in the last 12 months is recognizing when I'm not taking enough time out to reflect, and that it can't be like a kind of multitasking thing. It's like you got to give it space, and that means holding everything else back so you can do that thing of processing.
So for you, what does it look like to de-stress?
It looks like quietening or putting my phone on silent, definitely, even putting it away, and taking time to myself or with my dog, going for a walk, reading, time in nature and the water.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So I'm actually really interested in understanding a little bit more about the influence of freediving on mental health. And I think it was about 2 years ago, 20 Talk actually did a collab with Blueback Freediving, where we got seven young men?
We had 8. I think I did 3 programs in the end, but we ran.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that program we collaborated on.
Yeah, cool. So 20 Talk, and there was a not-for-profit charity called Fremantle Mind Inc., run by Dr. Kane Grigg, and we collaborated, got together and developed a program that was basically meshing a freediving course, like a beginner course, with some mental health learnings, preventative mental health learnings for young men. So the focus was on young men 16 to 24. And the reason that we targeted that age group was because that was where we perceived the greatest need for mental health.
And what was the effects from something like that? What kind of effects did the young men have?
Well, we measured them. So before and after, we were measuring wellbeing effects. So we did a WHO5, which is like a test of how you're feeling for the last couple of weeks. And then we tested it later. And we also tested mood state. So that comes in lots of different scales, but anger, tension, self-esteem related effect. And so, all the results were that things improved, mood state improved in all these different areas, and well-being improved as well. It's hard to tell how long that will go on for, but even a little quick fix for some of us is enough to get us out of trouble. So
it's good for the confidence as well, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but, we both do a lot of diving together, and just being out in the ocean and getting down to, quite a deep level at 10 to 20 meters, you're sitting on the bottom of this ocean, which is almost a different world when you're exploring new areas. And in some ways, I feel I go into a primal state where the only thing that I'm thinking about is the moment. It's this pure moment where I'm connecting with the world. There's no distractions. There's no burnout. There's no dramas. And it is the moment I feel myself. And for me, to know that there's so many people out there that don't get to experience this state, this part of your mind that seems to be waiting there for people to use, it baffles me. And I guess the benefit for my well-being outside of that, I can't quite quantify, but if I don't have the ocean, my life starts going downhill quite quickly. So I think there's so much value there, and it's definitely under-researched. So very well respect what you're doing and trying to find the data on it as well, because
doing the research. No one's paying for that. It's a lot of work. So hopefully there's some funding out there in the future for mental health and well-being.
You got this nugget here, and it's just waiting.
We've got the beginnings of it, all the bare bones.
That's good. That's good.
And then we've also got healthy boundaries. So tell us a little bit about healthy boundaries as one of your mental health discoveries.
Yeah. So, it was in the process of caring for my dad, I think, that I got a big opportunity to develop myself. Sounds a funny thing. But my dad developed cancer around 2 years ago, mesothelioma, which is like a asbestos-related lung cancer. Yeah. And he needed care. He's not the kind of person that really takes caring for.
He wasn't very. I'll just change that a little bit for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't the sort of person that likes to be cared for. Very independent, was he?
Yeah, he's not used to it. So it was an interesting journey for both of us, I think. And when you're in pain and when you're not, I think your character can change, or it can show its true colours and these kinds of things. So it was a difficult journey because he wasn't always in his best mood.
Yeah.
And I had to make a decision to show up or not. And when he wasn't his best self, it was hard to be around, but it was also hard to not be around as well, knowing that he needed help. So I discovered in that process how to communicate better, what my boundaries are about my mental health, to not make him feel bad. There was no like shaming or anything, but still being able to state what's healthy and right for me and what's not without trying to lay blame or anything like that.
So there would be a lot of people out there caring for people with disabilities and people who are sick or aging. My friends are caring for someone as well. What would you say to them about that journey, when do I pull away and when is it okay for someone else to help? What would you say about that process?
I'd say always be aware of yourself in that process. Know that it's a choice to show up for someone you love and that you can show up as your best self when you are in a loving state. And if you're not, then you probably need time to self-care, and then you can show up your best self to be there for somebody that needs you.
And how did your dad handle that when you actually said, sorry, Dad, but I need to check out a bit for myself?
I think he understood. There was a lot of silence, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes that means it's landed. Sometimes it means he's simmering with anger. But for me, it was more important that I communicate my needs so I develop better boundaries. I don't think it was so much about his response. It was more around me learning to communicate well and with anyone, but with him, most importantly, because he's my father. Yeah, someone really important to me.
Oh, that's great. That's really good.
No, that is an amazing 3 discoveries. So Stephen's actually prepared a little bit of a mystery question, which he's overheard someone speaking on West Coast Highway today, apparently, saying a certain comment, and he's spun a question off for it. So tell us a bit about that.
I was taking my dog for a scoot on the coast this morning, my electric scooter.
He's one of those people, everyone.
My little 3 kilo dog in a
I
bag.
hope you're wearing matching sunnies and shorts and something, and the dog
so
too.
you've got the picture. Well, I was coming behind these 2 ladies. I was slowly. I had to go around them, and I heard this one girl say to the other one, "My biggest demon is," and then I had to go, and I'm like, oh, I'd so love to just hear what that was. But so my question is, and I'm just changing this, is what's your biggest mental health kryptonite? Do you know what I mean by that? Like, what's
your demon?
What's
my
trying to
demon?
say?
That's easier. Your kryptonite, I'm like going back into the 80s and 90s.
He's trying to
do? Was it helpful?
He's trying to be a wordsmith and say kryptonite, but really he just wants to say.
All I can think of is fluoro shorts and sunnies. Yeah.
So what do you have to? I mean, what have you learnt about yourself and your journey that you know that's not a good place, or particularly maybe in the last 12 months?
Yeah, I'd circle back to what we just spoke about with healthy boundaries. It's a difficult place and time for anyone to be terminally ill. It makes everybody quite vulnerable, especially when it's your family. But yeah, I guess in that opportunity there was some work to do, and I recognised in that's always something that's got me. I'm often people pleasing. I think fawning or doing this kind of giving of myself more than I should. And, I think that wasn't really clear until I did some training and understood what other people's giving looks like. And it was like, wow, mine's really out of bounds. Like my contribution is, I'm not trying to blow smoke up my ass, but, it's really big and it's far bigger than other people quite often. And why am I doing that? So trying to understand where that comes from in my backstory, and then not correcting it or wiping it out, but seeing when it's coming up and why I'm doing it.
So
and if it
what's
comes
this
from a good
fawning
place.
thing?
No, I've got another. Okay, you go the fawning question, and then I've got another follow-on.
Okay. What's the fawn? I don't think I've heard that in a long time. Can you please explain that to me?
Sure. So like similar to people pleasing, you're like looking after someone or like appeasing them, not speaking up and saying what you really think and feel.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid to hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's good.
That is nice. And my question is, what do you think that you deserve?
Oh God.
Well, you're saying all this, like, what do you think you deserve from other people? Like, you're always giving and speaking from that inner self that you have. What do you deserve to receive from other people? It's a pretty loaded question.
Yeah, I guess just because it's relevant right now, because my dad passed just before Christmas, and an ABC story shared quite openly with the nation about the loss of my partner over 10 years ago. So I guess being in a vulnerable space, being in the public eye, having your story shared so broadly, just what other people can give me is when I need it space. So I can do that work to process things when it comes up. It's an unusual experience to have your story out there, and it means that when you're not expecting it, a story that could be potentially triggering can just arrive at your door regularly. I'm glad I've done enough work that I can meet that, but I also need space to process things still if it's in there.
Yeah.
So it's good to be able to communicate that need, and then hopefully others hear that and respect that.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate you sharing with us and everything that we've got. So, Stephen, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Your question. I'd like to know that about you.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a hard one, isn't it? I mean, it's so easy to throw.
Tania just passed me a piece of paper and said, Steve, can you ask this of Leighton?
Okay.
I'm going to put him on the spot.
What do I think I deserve from a relationship or just in general?
Just what comes to mind.
Oh, put me on this hot seat.
Just be in the moment, Leighton. Breathe.
What do I need to do? What do I deserve? I think I deserve for people to see me for who I really am. With all the 20 talk stuff gone, I feel like people always just bring that up around me, and sometimes I feel like it'd just be nice to connect to people without that, and to really sit with people and just to not have that in the background. And I'd love to know what I would actually be like without this. Am I actually anything? Because I've built my identity so much around this that I think if it was taken away from me, I think I might crumble. So I think I deserve, even for myself, to build up my understanding of who I am outside of this.
Yeah. And that's a boundary thing too, isn't it? Like healthy boundaries about how much you give away of your own time and your own resources.
Looking after yourself with compassion, your future self, and planning ahead to take time out. And definitely recommend travel, going somewhere where people don't know who you are.
Yeah. Even the responsibilities on myself, and it's like that overworking thing really resonated with me when you said that, is you can just put everything into your work and that becomes your identity, and you often forget to step outside of that and figure out who you are. And it can really, really be hard in those moments when you're actually separated from your work and you go, who am I?
Yeah. But that's a question, being someone who's a little bit further on in the journey, you go through those cycles and you still got to work that out. I've just had a situation where I've had to do that myself in the last year. That's pretty normal too.
So what do you deserve?
Yes, please tell us. I just passed a piece of paper to Leighton that you didn't see.
You're quick.
Thank you.
Just relax and tell us what you
Just
feel.
be in the moment, Steve. We're here.
This is the gift that keeps on giving. What do I deserve? That's a shocking question. I think for me, I've actually, it's my 50th birthday next month.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
And Leighton's saving up for my present a lot, and he's trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
And I'm currently faced with a situation at the moment where I was saying, do you want to party? And I'm like, yeah, no, I just can't be bothered with all that because I like a quiet, I just like it, a few friends, da-da-da. And I think it's important I just feel like saying, yeah, no, I don't want to do it. It's just too hard for me because I'm a bit of an introvert and I like to keep to myself. But I can tell my wife really wants to do it, and I think my friends would like to go. So I feel like it's good for me to have a time where my friends can enjoy me and my a time for me, even though I'm a bit of an introvert. I know they would like to have a time as well. So I think it's
but what about
for
you?
me.
Do you think you deserve it? When you're talking about
No,
you're talking about mum, you're talking about your friends, but what do you feel intrinsically like you deserve that party?
Probably in a way I don't feel like I do, but then that's something I've got to work on.
So let's unpack that. What do you think? Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know, because I've been someone who's had to give a lot of my life to helping people. A bit like what Tania said, you give to people all the time, and it's just like you give. And
it feels weird when others are giving to you.
That's a
it
struggle.
It feels like, oh no, debt's building up, and now I got to give more.
That's right. It's really hard, and like for your dad to receive care, like it's probably pretty hard for him as well.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those challenges that we have to struggle.
Change mode.
Yeah.
Learn to be a little bit more multimodal in our personality if possible, to not to meet the needs of others, but to be open. To be open to others' needs while still being clear about our own boundaries and what's good for us.
I ask this question to people with our interviews. We always ask them, what do you love about yourself? And we find that that's actually one of the hardest questions people are faced with, because they don't ever think about giving to themselves or receiving from others. It's always about projecting it. So thank you, and thanks everyone for listening, and please like, comment and subscribe. I think that's what you meant to say on our podcast, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode.